anyway, so what's up? What's up? What's up? So there's some things I want to talk about, right? And as y'all know, this is not a reaction channel, right? We don't react over here, right? We have real discussions about what is going on. Real discussions. Because you don't have real discussions and nothing really gets talked about, and then you're just left. You just left name calling each other. All right. So let's have the real discussion about what is really going on in this world. Because if we look at events like ICE, that's happening, and people want to say, "Oh, they're there because of they're racist." That's why they're there, right? They're there because they want to attack black and brown people. Well, in a way, they're right, but it's not for the reasons that they're black and brown. So let's have a real discussion about why ICE is in the hood. Why ICE is in the neighborhood, and then let's have a real discussion about the NBA gambling thing that's happening, because I gotta talk about this. I mean, this is one of the biggest things that I've seen in my lifetime. I say one of the biggest, right? So 9/11, and then the shuttle blew up, and so, but this right here is something that I usually see in movies. This is something I usually see in movies. The FBI get up there and say, "Yeah, we just made a major bust, prohibition bust, or whatever." So I gotta get into that, because people are talking about, is it addiction or is it stupidity, right? And I believe two things can be true at once. I believe that five things can be true at once. And I'm gonna get into those other three things, because those two things are already covered. But it's always deeper than addiction or stupidity. And we're going to talk about those other factors. Also, I want to talk about I'll get into it. So Steven Crowder says some stupid stuff, and people let them on their platforms and in their spaces to say stupid stuff. And I want to talk about that, because it's all becoming stupid stuff. And Bad Bunny. I gotta talk about Bad Bunny. The Super Bowl hasn't happened yet, so I'm not late on this. I know Bad Bunny been a thing, but of course, as we do, we're gonna have what I think is a real conversation about why Bad Bunny is not accepted at the Super Bowl. Well, at least by MAGA people, why they're trying to get him out, petition him out for George Strait is the word, right? George Strait is the person that they're trying to replace Bad Bunny with. But let's see why they don't want him there. So that's the bottom. Let's start back up top. And back up top being with these ICE raids. So why are guns for hire, masked men disguised as law enforcement, disguised as law enforcement on the block? And the National Guard is there too. So what's the reason? Well, to understand that reason, we have to go back to 2020. 2020. So come in and take a ride with me. So in 2020, there were two things that marred Trump's presidency. Two things. One was COVID, because of the way it impacted his economy. And two was the riots, right? The Summer of Love. And I know Summer of Love is a derogatory term, but I didn't always agree with every cause of what was going on. So I do think that there was some taking advantage of there. So I'm gonna call it Summer of Love. So in 2020, the summer of love, the riots broke out. Yeah, I know about COVID, but guess what? Those people who knew that Trump was going to win 2024 and be president in 2025, they weren't worried about COVID. They were worried about those riots. Now, during those riots, which, by the way, caused $20 billion worth of damages. I mean, you're talking about people who not just money wise as like damages like money, but also when you factor in uninsured businesses, mom and pop stores who had closed down, people who lost lives. So a lot of damages to personal and professional businesses. Trump team knew they could not have a repeat of that with the likelihood of another COVID. So they came up with a plan. And this blueprint that they didn't come up with it. They just kind of borrowed a blueprint that was written by the Democrats, by the way. So it's the same playbook that we're seeing. It's just being ran by the other team. And they are running it well. So during the 2020 riots, he was asked numerous times, hey, why don't you just send the National Guard in there? Hey, why don't you just send the National Guard in there? And he said over and over and over and over and over again, this is one of the things that drew me to Trump, was he kept saying, I can't unless the National Guard, unless the governors allow it. They have to request it. I can't just send them in there. Okay. So Trump team said, so how do we get around that? And they came up with a plan. They said, well, immigration is out of control. We can push immigration. Right? We'll show mad videos, a lot of videos of immigrants just coming across the border like an Indian raid. We'll show every immigrant crime. If an immigrant gets into a car accident, I want everyone to know about it. That's how they got ICE in there. That's how they got ICE in there. These guns for hire, masked men disguised as law enforcement in there for immigration. Okay, so now what about crime? What about crime? Because we can't have ICE in there fighting crime. Oh, we'll just say that crime is out of control. And every day we'll push a video of those people who commit the highest crime rates. Because we don't want to, make white people look stupid. That'd be stupid. So every crime committed by a black person, I want it on Twitter, on X, on Fox. We'll get the guy who wants to buy TikTok and CBS, and then we'll push it through those. And it was a tragedy what happened to that white lady on the train. And it's even an equal tragedy how they used it. But that's the plan. As you can tell, the plan is mixed in with some of my thoughts. So now we got the National Guard in there. We already declared a national emergency for immigration. Now we can just declare one for crime. And now we can say National Guard. Never can get around the governors. So why are they really there? They are there to prevent the riots of 2020. Don't even think about it this time. Oh, we got law enforcement everywhere. We got ICE. We got National Guard there. I mean, that was the whole reason of the speech that Hexas gave when he was like, personnel is policy. When Trump said, oh, we're going to use some of these democratic cities as training grounds. We need people willing to hurt another American. We need people from, we need the Oregon National Guard to go in and not be afraid to put it on people from New York. You don't know them. But that's what we need. People who are afraid to fight and kill another American. At least hit them with pepper balls. A lot of spray. We don't really want to kill them by that start a civil war. But we'll let them feel our presence. Let them know that we're there. And don't ever think about another riot. We got you surrounded. We got you covered. So Portland is one of these places where the riots really took off. So he desperately wants to get into Portland because, and you know he wants to, because he's willing to send another state's National Guard into Portland. Another state's National Guard. Hey, you've been deployed where? Tennessee.